Hey Artoni, Ollie here. I recently got into this wonderful game called Escape from Tarkov, Roblox edition, and it is hell. Similar to its grown-up counterpart, you start off with meager belongings and join a huge map, hoping to find some juicy loot and extract out alive. So after you couldn't find an assault rifle and die a few times to more geared and absolutely ruthless players, you finally get some goodies, get a few kills, and run into a hacker. So many hackers. This time get lucky and make it to an extract where you escape to the safe zone so you can finally get scammed by the in-game shops and other players. Not only does this game host some of the deadliest weapons and most punishing mechanics I have ever seen in a LEGO game, I also just have trouble seeing. This is what nighttime looks like without editing. I'm like a blind person relying on echolocation to survive, but I'm also deaf. And daytime. Ooh, yeah, no, don't watch. I can't watch this. It's too painful. I'm dumping like 85 rounds into this guy, and I still can't kill him. As my pride stood on the line, I came up with the only logical solution. Building an AI program to bully kids for me, of course. So our algorithm first needs to see the screen. In theory, there's probably a way for me to use the GPU and feed information directly into our program. However, that actually takes, programming skills. So now every time our program needs to see, it will just take a screenshot. Once our AI acquired eyes, it needs a brain. I could train the program to recognize these 10 pixel wide dots on black backgrounds in the middle of the night with 20,000 manually labeled sample images, or... yeah, so don't mind these perfectly normal white boxes on the screen. Okay, look, technically it's part of the program, and basically all AI requires some sort of internal game data anyways. So I recorded a screenshot of the frames where there were players, and after putting the label data through training, I realized a huge problem. You see, the AI program is supposed to recognize one thing and one thing only, players. But the image labeling program came with 15 default classes, and the tutorial I used didn't mention removing them. So my smooth brain just thought, yeah, this is fine. So after retraining the algorithm, I noticed another small problem. The program doesn't work! Now your parents and teachers probably have never told you this, but there is a difference between JPEG and JPEG. Despite what Google seems to believe, the algorithm doesn't care about semantics, so oh my god, all these have to be relabeled again. Perhaps we are but a series of characters, fluttering across idle screens, lesser than grains of sand, for our ephemeral existence is mere facade of a boundless matrix, computing an eternal parade of infinite numerals. Woo! We did it! The algorithm works! The AI can actually see and recognize players! Oh, look at this beauty! Yet, deep in my heart I knew something wasn't right. I still had hair on my helmet and a will to live. And sure enough, soon I discovered two critical, fatal, absolutely devastating problems. The first is my 4-year-old laptop. Despite being a decked-out ThinkPad workstation, it could not run the AI algorithm at an acceptable frame rate. After a few minutes, it would overheat and be down to less than 1 frame a second. This issue was expensive, but easy to fix because I upgraded to a desktop with a 3080 inside. While Dell was taking its time shaping the new PC, I tried to get the AI to aim at stationary players when this happened. This was the moment when I realized the nightmare has only begun. While the AI can recognize where players are and calculate how much it needs to adjust my aim in order to hit the player, Roblox refuses to let my cursor be moved. Now you may be thinking, Ollie, you dastardly intelligent and handsome fellow, a 5th grader can move a cursor with a single line code, and you would be right if not for the game's first-person camera. You see, in 3rd person, I can simply tell the mouse to move to a certain position, and magically it would. However, such is not the case in 1st person due to Roblox's architecture. I of course tried finding a working Python library, but nothing even came close to solving the issue, not even this YouTuber's library that was specifically designed to bypass this problem. So if Python's out of luck, what about C? I spent an entire day downloading this bullcrap, only to have the same problem that is now somehow worse. While researching, I came across another YouTuber who used a wireless radio to signal a wireless mouse receiver to control his cursor. After realizing this was going to be a very tedious process of getting the hardware, learning the programs, reverse engineering the radio signals, and then hoping that everything worked fine without huge latency. So I tried to opt for a wired connection instead. But it turned out I couldn't just get a male-to-male USB cable and connect my computer to itself, because apparently that results in some host-to-host problems? Okay, so I thought, if there's no realistic means of doing this externally, couldn't I just use a Roblox script to move my cursor?
Nope.
From what I've gathered, all Roblox FPS camera movements are controlled using a command called cframe, which functions by taking a 9-element matrix containing some internal data of the game, including 3D object positions of players and angles. And since our AI could only get its information by looking at the screen, there's no way for it to use cframe. What's this it? Weeks of coding and scheming just to fail on the final stretch? No, I couldn't accept that. I was going to bully Roblox players, whatever the cost. In the land of Rust, Roblox edition, in the deep cave systems, an architect forged in secret a master microcontroller to automate all farming. And into this device he poured all his creativity, his ambition, and his will to dwarf all bases. Node by node, his grand monument rose above the clouds. But the very game it was created for was taken down by Roblox. For years, in the gloom of my electronic box, it waited. And now, its time had come. While the Arduino did work, it did not move the mouse by pixels and had pretty big latency issues, so I had to manually calibrate it a few times, fix my talk order code, and also get a better microcontroller. You know you're playing video games correctly when you're buying the fastest Arduino so you can operate an AI algorithm to more efficiently shoot players in an Escape from Tarkov Roblox game. And finally, the moment we've all been waiting for. Let's see this AI in action.
Hey kid, don't ever let them get inside your head. They'll tell you what to do in life instead of everything you know that you could get. Don't let them guide your life towards regret. I'll fight for what I love with every breath. My past is filled with things I won't forget. I've used them all to push me to my best. So treat the worst of times just like a test.
So this big screen is what I can see, and this here is the AI's vision. So it's currently looking at the center of my big screen, and if it sees a player, it will label the player with a purple bounding box. This red vector that starts from the center to the player indicates how much the AI is trying to adjust my aim.
Can help you feel alive. Find a passion, take some action, and with a little time, just be patient, make a statement, try to enjoy your life. They'll try to kick you while you're down. They wanna rise up while you drown. They wanna fill your head with doubt. They're silently scared that you'll figure it out. I'll make it look like I'm losing. Won't bother hiding my bruises. And when they finally think you're wounded, then it's your chance to be ruthless.
Alright, so the AI works. I won't be losing face, so let's go grab our friend. Hey R2, wanna see something cool?
Sure.
So it's nighttime, and that's my friend R2. The servers have all been wiped when we ran to these three chads. These bastards are wearing the heaviest armor with semi-automatic SVD rifles, while we only had bolt action modes. So I threw a few grenades and hoped to get lucky. None of them really hit anything, except the flashbang. Not only did I flash the enemy, I also blinded myself. Normally this will make PvP impossible, but I got an AI doing the shooting for me, so I sat back, relaxed, and casually mowed him down. At this point I was pretty confident, I had R2 with me, and I still had some grenades to keep a good distance between us and the two remaining chads with their maxed out armor and bruh. That was R2, my teammate, getting a one-tapped. I couldn't really run anywhere, so I tried to grenade them. It didn't work, and a gunfight ensued. My fall to aim is still pretty trash even though the AI was helping due to the gun's insane recoil. But it's still much better than that guy. So he's dead. I quickly heal, turn around to engage their third player. I run out of ammo, but luckily I hit him 2 times, he was low on HP, so I took out my other AK, and with my AI locked onto him, there will be no escape. Now, I hear some of you whining that I may have an unfair advantage with this AI, and perhaps I have been hurting a lot of random players in the making of this video, which is not true. So, to reclaim the moral high ground, I'm going to employ a professional, ethics-manipulating tactic learned from real rich people. donating some cheap items to players and pretend that everything was for a good cause. Well guys, thank you for sticking with me. Make sure you pretend to be unarmed and approach the like button before shooting it the moment it's not looking. Leave your comments and ideas down below, and if you think I've earned it, please subscribe and ring the bell. It really does help with making new videos, and I'll see you in the next one.